So, let's dive into the system of Jesse Livermore, who was, without a doubt, one of history's greatest traders. But here's the thing. This isn't really about charts and tickers. Think of it as an operating manual for mastering the single most difficult, most unpredictable variable in any trade: yourself.
So let me ask you a question. What is a speculator's absolute greatest enemy? You might think it's the market itself, right? Or maybe the constant flood of news, or those giant institutions with all their firepower?
Well, the answer is actually a lot simpler and way more profound. The greatest enemy is the one inside. You see, Livermore's whole philosophy was built on this one idea. You don't lose money because the market turns on you. You lose money because you lose control of yourself. His entire system is basically a war plan to defeat those internal forces: fear, hope, and greed.
And that leads us right into the first pillar of his system, the law of self-preservation. Before you can even think about winning, you have to get really, really good at not losing. It's all about playing defense first. Here's Livermore's #1 rule of defense, and it's a big one. The first loss is always the cheapest loss. The second a trade starts going against you, that little initial dip, that's the best price you're ever going to get out. Holding on, hoping it'll bounce back, that just makes the exit way more expensive and a lot more painful. So what's the tool for this? It's the stop loss. But it's so much more than just a price on a chart. A stop loss is a decision you make when you're calm, when you're rational. It's an insurance policy you take out against your future emotional self, the one who's going to be tempted to just wait and hope. And that's exactly why we need that insurance policy. Because hope is the mortal enemy of discipline in the market. When a trade goes south, the market is sending you a crystal clear signal. Your judgment was wrong. Hope is a little voice in your head that makes you argue at that signal. It's the disease that convinces you to hold on to a tiny mistake until it snowballs into an absolute disaster. And this disease, this hope, often leads to one of the most destructive habits out there: averaging down. Livermore saw this for what it is, a totally emotional act that you disguise as a smart strategy. You're telling yourself you're buying value, but what you're really doing is reinforcing a mistake that's already been proven wrong, and you're just piling on more and more risk. And this right here, this is the crucial distinction. The amateur hopes. They average down, and they take that loss personally, like a failure. The professional, they cut the loss, period. They preserve their capital, and they see that small loss as tuition. It's just the price you pay for a valuable lesson from the market. Okay, so once our defenses are locked down, we can finally go on the attack. And that brings us to pillar 2, the art of confirmation. This is all about knowing exactly when to put your money to work, not based on what you think might happen, but on what the market has proven is happening. This quote just perfectly captures the essence of it. The big money, it isn't made in all that frantic day-to-day trading. Nope, it's made in the waiting, in that agonizing, disciplined patience of just sitting on your hands, holding cash, until that perfect, high-probability setup finally shows up. So if you're just sitting there waiting, how do you know when it's time to act? Well, you have to focus on the signal and learn to ignore all the noise. The signal is what Livermore called the tape. The objective, cold, hard facts of price and volume. The noise? That's everything else. It's your opinion, it's the news headlines, it's that hot tip your buddy gave you. The tape, that's the only truth that matters. And the key signal Livermore was always waiting for was something he called the pivotal point. Think of it like a historical line in the sand, a major resistance level. When the price finally breaks through that level and does it with conviction, that's the market giving you a green light. It's the mechanical trigger that turns your analysis from just a guess into a confirmed reality. And listen, the rules for acting on this are super strict. You don't buy before the breakout, hoping it's going to happen. You wait for the price to actually break that level. You demand to see high volume on that breakout, which proves that the big money is behind the move. And then you wait a little longer to make sure the price holds that new level, proving it wasn't just a fake out. This is what separates professional speculation from amateur gambling. All right, so we've covered defense, we've covered offense. Now let's talk about maximization. Pillar 3, the science of scaling, is Livermore's master tactic for building a huge position in a winning trade, all while keeping your risk under systematic control. The core idea is called pyramiding, and it's so simple, but honestly, it's profound. You never go all in at once. You build your position in stages. And the crucial part is you only add more capital when the trade is already in profit. You're basically using the market's own money to fund your expansion, which dramatically reduces your personal risk. And this method, it's not random. It's incredibly structured.
First, you start with a small probe or pilot position, just to test the waters. If that position immediately shows you a profit, that's your confirmation. Then you add a second, larger block. Your biggest commitment of capital always comes last, only when the trend is undeniable and your first buys are already protected by a nice profit cushion.
And you see how this brings us right back to where we started? Pyramiding, or scaling into strength, is the professional tactic. Averaging down into a loser is the amateur mistake. They are polar opposites. One builds on proven success, the other just reinforces and doubles down on a proven failure.
Okay, so we've got our 3 pillars. Let's stack them all up and see what the final and really the most important lesson is here: self-mastery.
So you can see the flow, right? It's totally logical. You start with defense, preserving your capital at all costs. Then you move to offense, but you only act when the market gives you a clear signal. And finally, you maximize those wins by intelligently scaling into your strength. Each step builds on the one before it. But here's the thing. When you look at it all together, you realize these aren't just trading rules. Each one, cutting your losses, waiting for confirmation, pyramiding into winners, each one is designed to do one specific thing: to build a fortress against your own flawed human nature. The system is the discipline.
And that really leaves us with one final thought. As you look at these principles, the real question isn't just about how you can apply them to a chart. It's about how you apply them to yourself. So are you just trying to build a system to make money, or are you truly trying to build the discipline, the patience, and the self-mastery it takes to actually execute it?